What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. The most beautiful part of our uniqueness is that all of our expressions are individually bound to where our hearts come from. There's a thing about how everyone has different love languages, and how if you want to deposit in the bank of the person who you love, then you must deposit in the currency that they recognize. You may give love in the language they understand, or you may not have your efforts recognized. You may be thinking that you are filling up their bucket, but really you are emptying yourself for no reason, because if it doesn't meet the language that they expect to be loved in and filled in, then it might not ever end up accumulating. And I'm all for that theory. Maybe each person should be learning to attune themselves to what feels like love for the other person in their life, so your deposits don't end up getting lost. The thing that has always bothered me, though, about this theory is that it overlooks the effort the person in the other language is expending. They're still spending the effort, even though they're speaking a different language. And it takes effort to say anything, to do anything, regardless of it's hitting home or not. And sure, you may not have figured out what exactly hits home for you, but that doesn't mean that they aren't trying or have missed on their intention to love you. The love is still present, and you would like a different form of it, and I get that. And maybe they're giving you quality time, but you prefer acts of service. But that doesn't mean we should overlook the quality time that they have worked so hard to give you. Everyone weights their sacrifices in different ways, and everyone's sacrifice is in their own way of sacrificing. Should we overlook their sacrifice because it isn't exactly what we were looking for them to sacrifice for us? If their sacrifices are uniquely tailored to their self, then are we not being selfish if we don't acknowledge the sacrifice for what it is? Everyone only gives what their heart allows, what their heart knows to give. It isn't for us to look for it to fit into a box for it to be worthwhile. I have friends who won't spend $8 on a meal for themselves, but will hand me hundreds of dollars worth of things. Should that mean any less to me because it isn't the way that I like to give or receive? Should I even look at it that way? And I'm personally the same way. I've gone on vacation and not joined my family in events for tickets that might cost me $40. But that same night have spent $200 on food. Because to me, a food expense is like something I've never thought twice about. But ask me to spend on something else and I will think twice or 100 times maybe. But when it comes to feeding people, it's almost like an unlimited bucket I can pull from. It doesn't even register as an expenditure. Should that mean any less because I skipped out on the quality time that we could have spent together early in the day and had spent the $40? Everyone is generous in their own ways. Some people will offer you their home to live in, give you gifts made by their very thoughtful hands, but not have it within them to give you their time or physical intimacy or words of affirmation. Does that mean their generosity is cheapened by any means, just because it isn't exactly the bucket that you were looking to have filled? And you can answer this for yourself, but for me, the answer is no. We are not here to exclusively give in the learning of the love languages of other people and then to only try to provide for them in the ways that we have learned that they need. We are also here to be our own unique expressions of ourselves. Our generosity, the way our heart opens up, is God-given. It doesn't have to fit into a box that others can appreciate. Even though it can be conducive to healthy relationships to learn over time and how to give to the other person in the way that they recognize. On the way there, though, It is not for all of our efforts to get ignored or minimized or belittled. Each way we give is the most beautiful because it is a divine expression. As we get older and more mature, it becomes our responsibility to receive things in the ways that the other person fails to give it. And the biggest misnomer, the biggest thing that people misunderstand is that they think relationships are 50-50. And I guess over time and on average, they should be. But the more accurate, nuanced description is that some days it's 20-80. Other days is 80-20 on the other side, 40-60 and so on. It's 50-50 over time, but sometimes you have to make up for what the other person is lacking on that specific day. And you have to make up that ground. And on some days, during certain times or seasons, the other person does not have it within them to give us the things in the way that we receive them. And I've talked a lot about this in the concept of having a teacher as a kid. When you're a kid, it is maybe 90% of the responsibility and the burden on the teacher in how he or she delivers the message, how he or she figures out how to make it most palatable to you as a child. But as you get older, if your manager, if your loved one fails to give you the message in the best possible way for you to receive it, it would still be in your best interest to get the message by parsing it away from the way it was delivered. Because ultimately the message, the love, the expression of generosity, the giving in itself holds more weight than the way it was given. Because the alternative is much easier. The person can just not give at all, just not provide you with the lesson or the love at all. The easiest route is always apathy, to not have to care at all about your well-being or receiving at all. But if a person does decide to give, it is your job as an adult to receive it. Because the ultimate benefit would be in the receiving, or the giving is wasted altogether. If you only look for it through the filter of how you like to receive, then half of it is wasted. The only thing that salvages the sacrifice is when it is in service to something, when it hits home, or else it is all wasted. And your rigid requirement to receive on your end, in your way, will stifle the divine expression meant for you, headed for you. We all sacrifice in our own ways. All sacrifices are in a way selfish because we can only give from the place we have within us to give. Can only give the things we find valuable to ourselves, that we deem worthy to give. And all of that sensitivity that we deem important for us to share is deeply programmed within us. It's almost innate, almost God-given, almost something we are born with or raised into. And when you turn away that offering, no matter how it is dressed, you turn away the hands of God. So accept the beautiful bounty that everyone offers with grace. The divine generosity, the sacrifices, no matter how it's colored, is to be embraced with open arms. I love you, family. Stay true always. I'll see you on the next show.